Hi, I'm Leah Schellenberg. I'm 22 years old, and I'm a recovering heroin, fentanyl, meth, and cocaine addict.
How long have you been sober?
Off of fentanyl, I've been close to a year, and for meth, about 3 months.
When did you first begin experimenting with harder drugs?
I started doing cocaine when I was 15, and then I didn't get into fentanyl until I was about 19, and then with meth, I think it was about the same age as well. I started dealing weed, and then once I made a lot of money from that, I started moving up the levels and just started dealing harder stuff, and then I was trying my own supply and everything, and then that's when I just kind of got hooked. The first time I realized I was an addict, I thought I could fix myself, and then a series of fortunate events happened, and I overdosed on fentanyl, and that was when I decided to go to rehab for 4 months. I went to a women's only facility, so it's just a bunch of women living together, doing group therapy, and you learn a lot. I didn't know what to expect. I just thought I'd go there and be a bunch of crazy heads or whatever, but no, some of the women are just completely average people you wouldn't even know. I learned a lot about myself, and I worked on my trauma, which is probably the result of why I'm an addict, and I'm still working on that. It's definitely highs and lows, especially now that I'm out. I did relapse because I came out of rehab about May, I think, the end of May. I was sober for 2 months, and then I was kind of in this bubble, because rehab is this bubble thing where you're kind of protected from everything because you can't leave and you can't phone, you really have no outside contact, so everything's sunshine and rainbows, and then as soon as you get out, it's the real world, and then there's no safety. So I really was adamant, surrounding myself with people, every day, and there was after 2 months, just depression hit, and unfortunately I did relapse on meth. Because of COVID, everyone's isolated, and the number one most important thing about recovery and people who are addicts who want to get sober is connection and being surrounded by people. And because of COVID and the restrictions, that really limits it, and because of that lockdown, the multiple lockdowns we've had, really there's nothing else you could really do, because I got laid off. The only people that wanted to hang out with me were other addicts, and so that's just
It's kind of a result of that stigma.
Yeah, there's nothing else you can
it.
do except do drugs.
Yeah. What are some of your thoughts on the lack of coverage that it's getting now? This still very major issue.
I think it's unfortunate, because I've had many friends who unfortunately passed away to opiates, and nobody's talking about it, and it's a huge stigma against it. And there's so many people that are addicts, and they're great people who just need help, and people just turn a blind eye. That's what I wanted, I kept it a secret, and I was really good at it, but everyone kind of just expects you see the homeless people downing out and everything, but there's a lot more people than you think, and I feel society should be, especially the news, should cover it more often, frequently, so it's more people could be open about getting help. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just reach out and just talking about it, because a lot people don't talk about their addiction because it's shameful, and shame is keeping you quiet, which is results in isolation, which results using, and you would need to break out of that shame and realize you can get better. There's so many people I know who never thought they could get better. I know women who are 50 years old and they finally are getting help, and it's never too late to change, and everyone's worth life.